Check this out. Listen. Grateful I am to be on this side. Can't believe people trapping like flies. Can't tell you the reason why. All I know is good to be alive.
Dynamic guest in the person of Dr. Derrick Pledger, and he preferred to go by the name of Dr. P, and you guys will know why. Now listen, we're going to give you a little bit about Dr. P, because Dr. P is such a fantastic personality, is that he's going to share a lot of things with you about himself. But, you know, I want you guys to just think about this. He lost his father at the age of 3. When he was 12, he lost his mom. He was a special needs student who dropped out of high school in 9th grade. 1978, the year he was scheduled to graduate, he earned his GED. Now, after 5 attempts, guys, 5 years later, he enlisted in the United States Air Force. He earned 4 degrees, including an associate in contract management, bachelor's in business, an MBA, and a doctorate in special education and organizational leadership. Now, he teaches micro and macroeconomics, intro to business at Tri-C in organizational behavior and leadership and management at Kent State University. Dr. P wrote several books to assist children and young adults, especially those with special needs and aspiring leaders. Now, Dr. P was the outstanding adjunct faculty member of the year in 1995 at the Community College of Southern Nevada. He also was nominated for the outstanding adjunct faculty member of the year 3 consecutive years. And they finally came to their senses because in 2019, they made it happen, which it should have happened all along. Now, additionally, in the same year, he was a finalist for the Excellence in Teaching Award in honor of Ralph M. Bessie. Now, guys, listen, Dr. P always teaches with his heart, passion, and sense of humor, while never compromising the integrity of its intended purpose. He develops the skill to reach students where they are, then take them where they need to be. Get that, guys. Please enjoy this upcoming compelling story of perseverance, goal setting, and living with the blessings that one has despite the challenges, perceived obstacles. He has never allowed anyone to outwork him, even though they may be smarter. And that's perceived smarter, guys. Let me tell you, as you will see when you hear Dr. P, he's a brilliant man. He lives by his creed. Please have sense enough to make the best of your current circumstances. Guys, you know our topic is what? Quitting is not an option. Or if you would like me to speak more appropriately, quitting is not an option. Only you can count you out. So guys, thank you for being here with us. Without further ado for me, we are going to opine with Dr. P. Dr. P, good evening, sir.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for being here, listeners. I appreciate you giving me that nice, eloquent presentation. And it's all true. Yes, it was ugly at first, but I turned that thing into something pretty. So we can get it on. Ask me anything. What do you want to know? Here I am.
Well, listen, guys.
Go ahead.
Dr. P, thank you. Listen, I'm going to ask you because already in the chat, Joseph is from Colorado, and Joseph is saying, Dr. P, he said, I too was and he put it in quotes, special ed student, and he said it was really embarrassing for me to work through that process. He said, when you were younger, how did you handle that?
That is an excellent question, and I'm glad you said it, because in other words, humiliation is worse than punching the mouth. Yes, it is. I know how it is. I tell you what saved me. My mom got killed, as he just stated, at 12 years old, but I was already a chess champion and had algebra. And the only reason why they put me in special ed is because it was ugly at home. I had no moral, financial, or social support. So I had to go on the street to make it. And so I wasn't worried about that. I was a chess champion in 6th grade, a billiard champion, and averaged 172 by the time I was 11 years old. So when they put me in special ed, I just was misdiagnosed. They didn't have no special kind of test or assessment to give you. So I told the people I was too dumb to believe I'm dumb. That's why I'm smart. That's why I passed the GED and walked with the class in 1978. And let me tell you how good God is. I don't want to get too spiritual. We had our 45th reunion, high school reunion in Jamaica. Here I am with the high school dropout. The only one showed up there as a doctor at Jamaica. So yes, we can be. So what? Sometimes we too dumb. I'm too dumb to believe I'm dumb, and that's why I'm smart. Don't you ever let nobody make you feel shame. Tell them call me. I got something for them. Come on.
Hey, listen, Doc. If you can see the thumbs that are going up and the smiles and the smiling faces that are going up, listen, brother, this is fantastic. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question for myself.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask that question. And I have other questions in the chat that I'm certainly going to ask you. But I'm going to ask this question, Doc, because when I met you several years ago, I saw this aspiring, very brilliant brother. And you had so much to offer. And I kept wondering, and I say ask, and maybe I'm making a statement in the form of a question. I kept saying to myself, I said, wow, why haven't I met this brother? Why isn't this brother an integral part of Cleveland Public, I probably shouldn't have called the name, but I will, of Cleveland Public Schools with all of the difficulties academically that we're having? So I preference that, and now I'll ask my question. When you decided that you were going to work with children, and I saw in your bio, as you talk about the special ed, and as you just finished explaining to our young man from Colorado, when you decided you were going to work with the children in Cleveland, can you share with us what you encountered from a personal standpoint as far as working with them and from what you were being told by others? And the reason I ask that question is because you have, in education, you always have people that try to tell somebody else what they need to do and how they need to work with the children, but they bring you in to do it because of your expertise, but they still try to tell you how to do it. Did you encounter much of that or any of that at all?
Yes, I did. I counted it everywhere. I still count it to this day. They do not know what to do. They don't know the math or the formula. And I'm not mad. First of all, if you don't have patience to reach those children where they are, you can't pick them up. Same way when I teach economics. I tell some of my students, how dare you buy $200 sneakers if you can't spell sneaker? I tell some of my mothers, ma'am, you cannot afford a $300 hairstyle. You need bus fare and lunch money. These are choices. So same way with education. I tell some of these folks here years ago, some of the administrators sent all these recruiters to India and brought these Indian educators back to teach some of these black folks math and all this. And so when the Indian folks said to me, Dr. Pledger, why won't these kids sit down and learn? I said, see, you were misled. When they went over to recruit you, they didn't tell you you had to learn a rap song, learn how to dance and box. Oh no, this is a different culture here. Now, if you don't learn this, you can't reach them. And I said, well, even 64 years old, I still got this young spirit. So I might as well let those kids know I'm one of you, and here's how you do it. And the reason why I work with children, I used to be a member of National Speakers Association with all the prominent speakers. You know who they are. I ain't got to remember the names. There was over 1,000 people down in Philadelphia in 1999. I bet it wasn't 40 black people. I went up to some of those folks there and said, hi, I'm Derrick Pledger. Can you tell me anything? And they just ignore me. And when I got in some of these meetings, they wouldn't give me the microphone. Then that military sports came out. I just went up there and snatched the microphone out their hand and started talking. After I know they weren't going to help me, I said, well, this is not my market niche. So I said, what can I do? I said, I know what. I'm going to work with children. And I've been with them ever since. I know what to do. That's all right.
Listen, man, these, and I'm happy that I have a lot of young people in my audience, brother.
Do you? Oh, good. Okay.
These smiley faces and thumbs and hearts are going up, my brother. Wonderful. T-A-R. Okay, Terry. He doesn't spell it T-E-R-R-Y. It's T-A-I-R-Y. Terry. So I do apologize, Terry. But Dr. Pledger, Terry says he's from Las Vegas, Nevada. I say that's being rude. Terry is from Las Vegas, Nevada, and Terry is saying that he too was a special needs student, and he always had difficulty. Now, you may not want to touch this one. He said he always had difficulty addressing the girls because they would laugh at him and that type of thing because he was a special needs student. But he said he felt that he was smarter than some of the guys they were actually dating that were not special needs students. He said, what advice can you give him?
If I had known for every special needs lady, how turn me down because I was in special needs. Back then they called it OB, obituary backwards. Don't worry about that. Special needs, all that means is we learn differently. So what you do is you go isolate yourself and go self-care and get pretty and strong. Because you take fitness with you, and do your reading on the side. You'll be all right. Same way they laughed at me. You'll see them in Jamaica years ago and tell them I said so. Don't you worry about so they laughed at you. So what? Half of them ain't smart as you, and they know that. I did tell them come talk to me. I dare them to come talk to me. That's why here I took my special needs degree and ended up being an economics professor. Isn't that special? So what? When I bowl, I look like Fred Flintstone, but I got so many 300 games in professional. I have so many perfect games in bowling, I lost count. And I look like Fred Flintstone. What does that care? As long as I get 10 pins down. So what?
Wow.
They talk behind your back because they behind you. You got something they want. You keep developing your spirit. They'll bring it to you and be brought to you and placed under your feet. Keep talking.
Wow.
Now. Here I am.
Wow. Hey, man. Okay, Terry, thank you for that, my brother. And you know what, Dr. Pledger, if we can segue just a moment and talk about bowling just a little bit. Now, being men of color, and a lot of my audience are quote unquote young men and women of color. Bowling. How did you actually become interested in bowling? And I preference that specifically because we know being men of color, that's not necessarily many times in our scope as young people. We see the basketball players, we see the football players, except we see the guys running track, but very rarely do we get to experience bowling, probably until maybe we go to college or maybe when we go visit other people, et cetera. Can you share with us a little bit about how that actually got your interest?
I certainly can. In 1968, I was 8 years old. I walked down to this delicatessen to get me a cake and a little soda. And I asked this lady, I said, "Hi, ma'am, what's that noise upstairs?" She said, "It's bowling." I said, "Well, what's that?" She said, "Why don't you go up there and see?" So I went up there and I saw these people throwing this stupid ball, knocking down these pins. And I looked at the man and said, "Hey, sir, I'd like to try this." I had 35 cents. It was a quarter for the shoes and a dime. It was a dime for the shoes and a quarter to throw 12 frame. After I got hooked, after throwing that first ball, I threw 16 for 12 frames. Next thing I know, after 2 weeks, I'm in there working at the bowling center. All I did was empty the trash and shine down the lanes, and I could shoot pool and bowl free. And because I was good at math, I started keeping score for people back in 1969. I took a boy's job in the 10th grade, in the 4th grade, keeping score. I made $250 a night back in 1968. And while I was doing the math, I was watching the best bowlers in the world. And I just took a little bit of that, a little bit of this. I became my own Frankenstein, created my own monster. Now, when my mother got killed, I stopped bowling in 72. I started back bowling in 77, and I stopped in 2016. But I've been all around the country. I got all kind of accolades. And guess what? When I got off work for the Air Force, I threw the ball for the Air Force. I still get a little small check each month for throwing that thing. So yes, bowling is something that is spiritual to me, because guess what? You got to stay in your own lane. I learned to keep people out of my head. They do not exist. What I love about bowling is on you, and you will accept the bad times because they're coming. That's why I love bowling.
Wow. Now, you also mentioned playing chess.
Yes.
And you shared with us about your expertise in math. Can you touch on chess a little bit? Because again, you don't need me to say this. I won't insult you by saying it, So can you talk to us a little bit about chess and about your interest in chess and how that came about?
Mr. Eschenauer in 1970, I was in the 5th grade in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He made the class learn chess. And for some reason, I liked it because it's on you. And so I got very good at it. I was a chess champion in the 5th and the 6th grade. And in the 6th grade, somebody took my queen in the early part of the game. I cultivate the rest of the pieces back and won that game. So when my mother got killed, now I lost my queen, but the game is not over until you put the king in checkmate. I had to cultivate the rest of the pieces like the GED. So if you just take what you have and don't worry about what you don't, you might can bring something. So yes, chess is about greater game. They're just pieces. I have to come get your king. If I don't hold on to anything, that's it. So I'm in my last stage of life, and so what? Yes, and I'm feeling good about myself.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, as I listen as I'm looking at all of these beautiful thumbs up and smiley faces and hearts, as we share, you've hit several key points here.
Okay.
You talked about the queen. You talked about the king having to come get his queen. You've talked about the perseverance. You've talked about getting people out of your space, out of your mental space. So when we bring all of this together and we talk about getting these individuals out of our way, getting them out of our mind space, but when we work on us to improve our what am I trying to say? Our direction for our next journey. How does all of that play into getting people out of your head, if that makes sense?
That's very simple. Intentionality. You be intentional about your life. What are you talking about? You know you owe a bill, pay it. If you can't pay it, make arrangements. And if you make arrangements, don't even make arrangements, have them take it out the check. What happened to your credit score? You have to be intentional about this thing. So when I was bowling, especially at that high level, if people bowl 10 games, I bowl 15 games. If they bowl 20, I bowl 30. Do that over time and see what happens. That's intentional. Is it fun? No, it's not. But I tell you, the rewards, you have an aha moment. It's like anything else. I was a racquetball player for years. I don't know if you remember that. And these people beat me for 8 straight years. They laughed at me, they mocked at me, and they say you don't know this and that. But guess what? During that 9th year, something occurs. See, when you're attention about something, the universe blesses you. And even though you have a deformed form, you can outrun people, because when you're tired, it makes coward out of all of us. I learned that playing sports. So yes, so you be intentional about things, and don't be afraid to quit people. Let me tell you something here. People want you to do well, but they don't want you to do better than them. Don't be afraid to quit people who don't have your best interest and blame it on me. I'll give you an example. This lady come to me, said, one of my students said, "Hey, Dr. P, can I talk to you in private?" I said, "Yes, sweetheart. What's wrong?" Said, "You taught us marginal analysis, how to weigh benefits and costs." I said, "Yes, I did." She said, "Well, I went home and I told my husband, here's my cost and here's my benefits. I'm paying this, that." And she said, "Can you tell me what I'm getting out of it?" He said, "Who in is Dr. Pledger?" Grabbed a piece of paper and threw it on the ground. That's how I educate people. Come on now. Weigh these costs, benefits analysis. Get as good as you can give. All right, come on. You all right?
Hey, listen. So, did you cause a divorce, Dr. Pleasure?
No, I did not, but I changed his behavior and he went and got him a job. She's much happier.
He got his act together.
Yes, he did.
It's fantastic. Now, listen, I know that you're a consultant along with being a professor, and we know that you do many number of various topics and things you help people with and you work on. Can you share with us 2 or 3 of your top subjects, or maybe I should say topics, that you feel, obviously you're passionate about all of them because you are a competitive, passionate, caring individual. But if you had to put a number on them, and I know I saw about 50, look like, if you had to put a number on that, what would you say were maybe your top 2 or your top 3 that you feel is most critical when working with our young people from an academic point of view, or working with those, maybe let me retract that. Working with those that work with our young people from an academic point of view. Do you have 1 or 2 maybe in your top 10 that you feel are really crucial for schools and universities and civic organizations and that type of thing to sit down and get some training from Dr. Pledger?
Yes, I do. Number 1, strategy is overrated. Execution is everything. Talk does not feed at the bulldog. You will go in there and spend some time with these folks to learn how to reach them. You might have to go learn to do the juke, buck the system. You might have to learn to dance or 2, and they will teach you how to treat them. You will take them a sandwich and buy them some juice out your pocket, make them feel good. They may be hungry when they come in here. First of all, you got to prime them to be ready for you. You got to be vulnerable up to a point without losing any integrity. of what you have to teach them here. Execution, that talk don't mean anything. What you're reading, do you use platforms? You have to reach them. And number two, and the most important thing is humility. These children pay your check, your retirement, your vacations and all that. If you treat these people special like you do their paycheck, you'll find a way to reach them. That's how I reached them. Wow. And I don't make any excuses. I tell folks, if you don't want to do the job, then go do something else, because you have to teach from the heart. If you teach from the heart, the kids will answer with their hearts. They know when you're not teaching from the heart. I got 100-something workshops. And so when I do training, I say, look here, you know your systemic issues. I'm going to research on your school, but you pick out which ones you want, that you want me to do, and tell me who's who and who's not working in your organization. So I'll come in and get them for you. Certainly, I'll come get them. You all right?
Now, when you share that statement
Yes.
with those individuals that are responsible for bringing in consultants, et cetera, to work with staff, what kind of reaction do you receive from them? Now, before you answer,
yep.
I know it depends on the individual that you're talking with.
Yep.
I know it depends on how serious they are. So let me be the devil's advocate. When you have those that individual, you just shared right here, but when you have one of those individuals, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yep.
But they think that it's the teachers, it's the principals, but in essence, they're the ones that are lacking. And you share what you've just shared with me, but you have to be employed by them because they control the purse strings and they make the decision who comes in. How do you deal with them?
Happened to what? Happened to what at the Cleveland Municipal School District. Yes, you have to tip your toe and play politics, or you will put your paycheck on the line. So I asked them before I go in there, can I take these gloves off? Or you want me to go in there and tiptoe? What do you want me to do? And they say, take them off, then I'll go get them. And I said, that's fine. And I would do it in let me tell you what happened to at a school district here. And I don't have to tell you which one it is. It's in Cleveland. One time I was commissioned to do some training. They teach them leadership skills. I don't know, I had 15 pages of content and modules. I'm ready to go. Next thing I know, somebody took my name off it and put administrator's name on it. And the man who paid me said, shut up, don't open your mouth. And so I said, you sure? I said, don't you want me to know I got all this? Hey, shut your mouth. So at the cost of the children, and it's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right. So we have to have somebody with some courage, say, hey, man, because you're robbing the kids. Because if I don't teach these folks how to lead the children, everybody loses. Matter of fact, not too long ago, I'm in a school, and I see why these children's self-esteem is bad. Mine be bad too. If I was 14 in the 5th grade, I'd be mad. I'd be upset too. So they had to stop this kid from bullying people. And on the way we stopped him bullying one man, he punched me in the eye and I get a black eye. And the little kid said, well, the man said, hey, Dr. Pleasure, you know, we're supposed to give him 45 days. I said, I am not giving this child 45 days. He's already 14 in the 5th. You're already behind. Give him 3 days. I'm going to give him one of my books to have lunch with him. We'll be all right. And that kid turned out to be all right. See, you got to meet him. You don't know what's happening with him. And that takes work. That's not taught in schools. Compassion. That's what I want. And you want to know what I want you? I would teach people compassion. Because it could be you. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Now, okay, she's put her hand up about 3 or 4 times.
Okay,
Sarah. Yeah. Sarah, wow. Sarah went to one of the schools in Los Angeles that I'm very familiar with, but Sarah's from Los Angeles, and Sarah says, I thought about being a teacher, but everybody keeps telling me that teachers do not make any money, which is, Sarah, Mr. Pleasure has an answer for you, but I'm going to say to you, that's classic talk. People love to say that about us, so I'll continue to read your statement. She say, they tell me that teachers don't make a lot of money. She said, but I don't need to get rich. I just see so many children that need help. Even some of my classmates are in the 11th grade and 12th grade talking about graduating, and they can't even read. How do you help them? That's Sarah's question from Los Angeles.
Miss Sarah, bravo to you. And you can make money in teaching. What you do is you teach during the year and you be a consulting during the other half of the year. You ain't working with 5-6 hours a week at the training time. Once you get that down and get those kids, they'll follow you around. You're right. How much do you need? Eventually, over time, your gift will make room for you. I wasn't a teacher. I didn't go to school for teacher. I walk up and told myself I'm the teacher. So yes, you can do it. Don't be listening to these folks here. They can't throw a bowling ball for you. Stop. Then come tell me that they say you couldn't be a teacher, don't make nothing. How much do you need? So you can get the rest of it. Let me tell you something. You refresh people, others, you refresh yourself. Come on now. It's nice when one of these kids come up and say, hey, Dr. P, hey, you remember me? I said, no, I don't. Say, well, you did this for me and I want you to know this is taken care of. Come on now. These are intrinsic things that happen when you're an educator. You can't see. That's where I get excited.
Wow, that's super. Sarah,
answer a question.
She's saying I'm hard to you, my brother. So Dr. Pleasure, as we talk about that, being two like-minded educators and two like-minded individuals when it comes to working with children, and as you and I both know, is that so many times children are on life support. I mean, they are literally and figuratively on life support when it comes to academics. And we both know that many times they are so discouraged because not having the things that you just explained to us. When we receive those kids, and when we sit in these conferences, and this is a question from a statement and a question from me, when we sit in the conferences, and when we're hearing all of the rhetoric, and I will call it rhetoric, Dr. P, from those that are in charge, and they are constantly avoiding the elephant in the room because they don't want to really discuss that they have not done a really good job of supporting the instructional staff. But they want to constantly say that the staff is not performing, but they're the ones that are in charge and they've not done a good job of instructing the staff. How do you deal with those individuals, Doc?
Well, you can't beat them up because they got their hand on the chicken quit. They're in charge of the money. So now you have to use your soft skills. Say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to talk about our systemic challenges. I want to talk about our systemic growth areas, including you. How would you go? Because I need your help. Come on now. I can't scare you. You don't want to make people mad on the chicken switch. It is sad. It's sad that you have to use, and that's where language comes in, and your flair, and your charisma, and your sense of humor, and you give these, you got to give them a little something. Hey, you know what? If I had $3 more $100, I swear I'd keep these kids shut up. I swear they keep them shut up for the first 3 hours, but I need this. See, but they have to buy in. So here's what you do. Most of these folks, these administrators, they do not know what to do. So what you do is write it up and let them take it. You put your name on it. Matter of fact, here's what I tell them. I say, look, if at your school district, if you tell me, share your vision with me, I will make everyone's calling aligned to your vision. And if you don't know how to create the vision, I will write it and you beat it up. How about that? That's how I get it done. Because they don't know what to do, Mr. Lawrence. They don't know.
Okay.
They can't do it.
You have an interesting set of words when you said when they have their hands on the chicken switch. Can you break that down for us?
The chicken switch, they in charge of the budget. The money,
Okay.
the chicken switch.
Okay.
Come on, you know what the chicken switch is? The dollar bills. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll use some language. They're in charge of they're in fiscal responsibility. Okay, how'd that sound? That better?
No. Hey, Dr. Pleasure, we need to hear that because that's why I'm saying to you now, on the Nobody Asked Me Guys show, brother, we just keep it real and open and we use the academic prowess that we have and we address individuals and we laugh and we have fun. So speaking with Dr. Pleasure, and as you've already said, you have over 100 topics that you offer services when you're consulting, etc. Now, if we can move a little bit, and I don't want to keep you here all night. If we can move a little bit to those school districts who like to pretend that they have it all together, but they still know that they're in need of the services that you offer. And I know we've talked about just now the people that have their hand on, that are responsible for the fiscal budget, and then they have their hand on a lot, AKA the chicken switch and that kind of thing. But you know that the kids are suffering.
Yep.
And they come to you because they know they need you, but they try to pretend like they don't.
Yep.
In maneuvering that road, how do you avoid the pitfalls that road can present? Because we know the children need help. And you've spoken to Sarah about when they talk about teachers not making a lot of money, and you say, well, hey, you can still teach and do some consulting on the side, and you're only there 5-6 hours, etc. So I know this is a loaded question, but I want to ask that question because as an educator myself, and knowing the expert that you are and how you work with people, how do you avoid, and I guess I'm asking a lot of how-to questions, how do you avoid those potholes that they present? And you know the children need you, and you know that if you maneuver that pothole just right, you're going to be able to help the children, but sometimes your ego might get in the way. How do you deal with it?
You set your ego aside and you let them punch you in the mouth if something goes wrong. And if you do it right, let them have the credit. They'll leave you alone and fund you from now on and tell their friends about you. They're not going to put their, what on the line. They don't want to take the lick. Take the lick and give them the credit. They leave you alone. They hire you from now on. And I hate to say that, and you do it without compromising the education. You're going here to say, sir, ma'am, or whatever, would you do me a favor? You don't have to do anything. You get out of my way and I'll give you a report and I'll make it eloquent. I write it up real pretty for you. And here you go. Here's what occurred. And here's what happened. Man, I'll go research them. Got a double doctorate. Yes, I'll write it up for them with some citations within 3 years. Yes, I will. Let them know what I'm doing. The state will accept that. Did you know that?
I had to ask that question because
yep.
I don't mind. I'm very open, and people that know me know that. People in the professional world know me, know that. And I encounter that sometimes. I've encountered it even there in Cleveland. I've met some brilliant people there. I've met brilliant people everywhere I've been. I've been very blessed to have met some very brilliant people everywhere I've been. But sometimes, and the reason I want to ask that question, I want to be very clear with my audience. The reason I want to ask that question is because so many of them get disenchanted. And that's why I'm like you. I'm so happy Sarah asked the question she asked. So many of them get disenchanted because of individuals like the one I just asked you about. And we chase them out of education and we say, well, they're just not ready for it yet. And that kind of thing. So I'll be very, very, very candid with you. I want to ask that question because Sarah is not saying this, but I'm thinking that Sarah might already be a teacher. Sarah, if I'm wrong, forgive me. And I'm thinking that she may be encountering situations that are unfavorable. So I just kind of want to get that out there for her. But listen.
Let me address that too. If you stay intentional about being a teacher, that rest of the stuff is distraction. Man, if your focus is on those kids, some of the administrators are jealous of the teachers. Now, you don't believe that, do you? Some of the administrators are upset because you got the children's hearts and they can't do nothing with them. They have to come get you out the classroom to get them done because they don't have that relationship because you didn't take the time to bond. You got to be intentional about every student. You got to know them all. I knew all of my students as a principal, and the folks got mad because they know I don't want to talk to nobody but Dr. P. I could talk to them and solve their problem within, I'm talking perspicaciousness, within half of a minute, especially when you know them. But that's another story. If you're intentional about them, come on now. I hate to use the same word because intentionality brings on the determination, like it took me 5 times to pass the GED. They laughed at me. That's okay, but guess what? You ain't gonna laugh now. They ain't laughing now, are they?
No, they're not, Doc. And Sarah is sending those hearts up, man. She's saying, and so is everybody else. We get a lot of hearts, a lot of thumbs up. Tonight, as we're having this candid conversation about education, about those of us that are involved in this process, it sometimes, and I'm making a statement here that's not generalized, but a lot of people think that is generalized because of what you just said. Administrators are jealous of individuals like a Derrick Pleasure and others that actually have not only the academic expertise, but have the personality that they can actually address and reach students, whereby they actually damage the students because they're jealous of the person that can reach them by trying to shift and move those persons, and the student continues to suffer. And I have seen that, unfortunately, too many times in my experience, but I've also seen it with younger people that I mentor right now. And well, heck, three of them, I don't want to expose them because they're still working, but three of them,
That's fine.
three of them are watching right now. What advice would you give to them?
When the areas of the relationships
Yes.
they need to have some training. They need
Yes.
some training themselves, and they need to look up the word humility and humble. See,
Yeah.
they don't realize their children are the golden gooses. How dare you disrespect somebody that feeds you? This is straight math. Come on, this is economics. I treat those babies special because one day you don't know what they become. You can't see that. You can't see that. And so my issue is that just now I'll give example. And this is comical. Not too long ago, several months ago, somebody called saying, "Hey, Dr. Pete, I'm at this school district over here, and these people aren't motivated and this and that." I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, can you just talk to us because they can't they're not fired up." I said, "All right, have someone reach out to me." So someone reached out to me. I gave them my vitae. I wrote 14 books. I gave them some copies of the books. I gave them what I could do to solve the problem. I said, "Now, here's what you do. You look over this stuff here, and you tell me what you need to move your district forward, young man, or your school." He wrote back and said, "Oh, by the way, I go to this school." He didn't address not one thing I said. So the board member called back and said, "Hey, Dr. Pete, what's up?" I said, "They don't know what they're doing." I said, "I sent all this stuff, and all the man said was this." He said, "Huh?" She said, "Dr. Pete, do you want the job?" I said, "No, I do not. I don't want to be there every day, but I'll tell you what, I will go there if you get out of my way and let me do what I do. I'll go ahead and shake them up for you." Next thing I know, they call me up and say, "Hey, would you please come over here?" Because I said, he's only said that because they don't know what to do. And that's where humility comes. Just say, "I need some help. I need some help. What's wrong with that?"
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, Dr. Pleasure, you have been great, my brother. As I said, I didn't want to keep you here all night.
No
There's so
problem.
much-
They got some more questions. Who missed? Anybody
Well,
not up there now?
I'm looking at my board. They're sending thumbs up. They're sending hearts up. And
Anybody else any questions?
I just have Charlotte, Terry, and Sarah, and Charles. I'm not saying that. You guys, listen. Dr. Pleasure is here with us. He's here. If you have any more questions, please share them at this time. But Dr. Pleasure, let me ask this.
Yes.
I want to take us back to come forward, because I'm thinking about the process. A man that's sitting here sharing with not only with me as the host, but with our viewers, that I was counted out. I understood that quitting was not an option. I faced the loss of my mom at 12, loss of my father at 3. I was laughed at. I was jeered. I was made fun of. I'm going to get a soda in a sandwich. I hear the noise. I found out it was bowling. I'm working there 2 weeks later. I become really good at it. And so now I'm into bowling. I'm playing chess. Somebody took my queen, but I knew the king had to come and get the queen. Now, when we talk about quitting, or should I say,
Checkmate me. That's right. They have to come get me. It doesn't matter what you have. You can come get the king. Hey, you say the same thing. Come on.
yes. Now, as we talk about intrinsic drive,
Yes.
do you feel, or would you say that any are part of some of the things that you experienced as you were transitioning from the 3-year-old to the 12-year-old, et cetera, contributed to the drive that you have when you grew into the attitude of quitting is not an option and no one can count me out but me?
First of all, raise your hand if you're afraid of poverty. Poverty frightens me because if you are impoverished and survival mode, it can be ugly. And another thing here, always remember this, audience, and you as well, Mr. Lawrence. See, we all have something called T, time, energy, and attention. And we are in charge of that. That's a gift from above. You can allocate your time, attention, and energy for whatever you want. It doesn't matter what circumstance you come from. Now, here we are, didn't even have a bathroom door, no phone, didn't even have a damn clock, almost. And let me tell you something here. I still found a way to find me jobs at pool rooms, get around people with resources, because I had sense enough to hang around people with some sense and didn't give my time, energy, and attention to things that would mess me up later on down the road. So for the first 30, 40 years, we all got to plow. We got to plow something here, because guess what? When you get in your 60s, now you got $2 coming in, you can do what you want to do. Huh? So yes, I'm afraid of poverty. And one more thing, there is nothing better than competing against yourself. I wasn't competing against those folks. If some of those folks had my same background, perhaps they might not have made it, Mr. Lawrence. And I don't blame them for not making it. So, come on, brother. And so, no. And so I know that if I, just remember this, I got a workshop too. There's no prosthetic for amputated spirit. I didn't allow anyone to amputate my spirit. My own grandma laughed at me when I got a GED, said, you ain't got nothing but an old folks diploma. I cried like a baby. An old folks diploma, and I had to take the old folks, I ain't lying, my own grandma laughed at me. And I had to take my old folks diploma and Air Force money to help bury her. Isn't that something? And I just bought my grandma and mother a tombstone last year with my GED. Isn't that something? Come on, brother. Yeah.
That's powerful, though, brother. That's powerful. That is powerful. That's powerful. Excellent answer. And I you see, I knew you would knock it out of the park. Because I know Dr. Derrick Pledger, and I knew that you would knock it out. How they can contact you, please, sir?
Yes, you can call me anytime on my cell at 216-533-7750. Once again, that's 216-533-7750. Or reach me at dpledger, DPLEDGER at Kent, KENT.edu.
Well, Dr. Pledger, it has certainly been a pleasure having you here, my brother. As always,
yeah, thank you.
You knock it out. So, guys, listen. This has been the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. I'm your host, Melvin Casey Lars. We preview mostly on Tuesdays. It's the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. Okay, and at gmail.com, you go there, you will find us. Feel free to subscribe and look at some of our content. We'd like you to encourage your friends and your neighbors to subscribe as well. If you'd like to contact me, you can contact me at the Nobody Asked Me Guy show at gmail.com. Phone number also is 440-935-0374. 440-935-0374. So, guys, listen, as always, we enjoy you coming to listen to us. We enjoy all of the questions. We want to specifically thank Sarah and Terry and Charles and the other guys that are here. I see a lot of you here, so I don't want to disrespect anybody. You didn't have any questions. That means Dr. Pledger, as always, did an excellent job. I saw all of the hearts, and we just want to let you guys know that we appreciate the hearts and the thumbs and all the things that you do. And again, to Dr. Pledger, brother, listen, it has been a complete pleasure, my brother. And it's always great talking to you, man. You have any closing remarks you'd like to share with us?
Make everything and just do right, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Very simple, great math. If you do right, they're not coming to get you. So, okay, I'll talk to you later.
Take care, Dr. Pledger. Okay. Have a great and blessed day. Bye-bye.